Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, stand by. January 1st, 2024 marks season 2 of Burnt Out.
Engine 1 out, World Trade Center, 1060. Send every available ambulance, everything you got to World Trade Center now.
Welcome to Burnt Out. The Burnt Out podcast shares the stories of firefighters, emergency personnel, and other first responders around the world to create a pathway to save lives. The stories you will hear are real and may be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. And now I'd like to introduce you to your hosts for Burnt Out, Skip O and Jeff the Old Guy.
Thank you, Shawn, for that introduction. And I'd like to thank all the listeners for tuning in on this December, cold December here in Indiana. We also would like to thank our sponsors. You can see our sponsors on burntOutPodcast.org. That's burntOutPodcast.org. And also, if you like what we're talking about, you can message us for more information about anything on the topic. And if you need some help to get through this December, send us an email. We'll call you and check on you. Today we're here. We've got a little clip of somebody that's very personal to me, that stuck with me for 31 years, and that's my wife, Diana. She is the most strongest spiritual person that I know, and she's just an amazing woman. She stuck by me. She supported me. She's grown to show me what her boundaries are, not just in her personal life, but in our marriage. She battled cancer, and she's a survivor of cancer. She also was a 911 dispatcher. And she'd done that for years until we got married, and she's seen that it would be better for her to be home in the evening time with the kids. So we're going to play this clip right now, and then we'll expand on what she said, and we'll talk about how our relationship evolved through the years.
You hear about a lot of it because you're on the phone, but you're not seeing it in person. But there were times that I would be sending him on a call, worried about what's going on, but still I had to answer the 911 calls for other people too, and sometimes as a dispatcher, you don't hear the back end of that call. So you're always wondering, when it was his call, sometimes he could come home and tell me about what ended up happening or something. But otherwise, you're just hearing one end of that situation, and the rest of it's kind of left hanging sometimes. When I knew it was his call, I believe I was working dispatch when he got called to rescue somebody in a water tower. And I couldn't leave to go out there to be there with him. And knowing that he has a fear of heights, that was an interesting thing.
All right, that was my wife. When we first met, my wife was very introverted. It was hard for her to talk to people because she was really shy. As years went by and being married to an alcoholic, you know what that does to a person. It hardens them up a little bit, and they get a little bit more outspoken. But she was a 911 dispatcher, and even though she knew the job and she could hear things happening when I'm on air, and I would come home and say some things when she heard it, ask a question. But when I came home, I didn't talk about me finding 2 kids that are burned up. I didn't talk about me doing CPR on a little baby or talking to someone that died in my arms, and those kinds of runs. I didn't talk about that stuff to her, and and also on the run that she was talking about, there was a water tower incident where she could hear the conversation, and then and she knew I had a fear of heights. But even though I had that fear of heights, I did my job. It didn't matter. That's just something. I'm not that kind of guy that like to go in high places. But if I had to crawl up a water tower, if I had to go up the 100-foot platform or whatever I had to do, I'd do it. I just didn't like doing it. But that's some of the things that she said. She could hear me do some things, and then she had to live with that, not knowing what happened. And that's how our marriage was. She didn't know how it was going to be when I got home, and didn't know the true me when I got home, because I was very superficial when it came to the job. And really, I didn't talk about my emotions with her a lot. What she got is the bad stuff. She got the anger, the temper. She got all the stuff when I had to vent or let go. I didn't tell her what was the fears, deep fears I had, or how it was affecting me in my daily life, and how I slowly started to crumble, and I needed help. And I didn't know how to ask for help. And it felt weird for me, even though she loved me, I felt really weird to be vulnerable to her or to anybody. The one person in this world I'm supposed to be vulnerable to is my wife, and I couldn't do it because I was that fear. I'm supposed to be the strong dude that's supposed to be the leader of the family, the protector, and I couldn't measure up. And then slowly I started breaking down, and that's when my drinking and drugging started picking up, and that's when I wasn't a very good husband, and I wasn't a very good father. And then that affected the family in a negative way until that one day on February 7th of 2000, it was on a Monday, I looked at my wife, I took my last drink, I said, I can't do it no more. And she was there for me. And I drove me to the hospital, and then that's when and I didn't want to be, when I sobered up, I asked her for a divorce. I didn't want to be married to her because I started feeling these feelings where I wanted to run. And that's what I needed to do before I make those kind of rash decisions. And I had some guidance from spiritual advisors to guide me, don't make any major decisions in a while. And that's what I did. I went and lived somewhere else in a halfway house. We started working together, and I started dealing with these emotions. And I had a therapist. I went to a 12-step group. Not only got so clean and sober, I started getting emotionally sober. And that was something that I need taught by a therapist, by a spiritual counselor, by people in a 12-step group. I had a team. I didn't have one person. I had a team that showed me how to live life. But my biggest teammate, my biggest cheerleader was at home. That was my wife, even when I didn't want to be with her until about a year. I remember a year of sobriety. I said, I kind of want to be married. And that's the first time she heard from me that I want to be married. In the second year, we worked on communication, my marriage. I moved back in the house. Things started working out, and we've been married today 31 years because she stuck beside me, and I'm riding her coattails because she is a very patient woman, and I'm very blessed to have her. Sometimes when you're out there and you come up on these holidays like it's coming up, some people don't have somebody like that, but you're not alone. Remember, we are here for you if you reach out to us. There's organizations like the Worldwide Peer Support that does support Zoom meetings on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can go to worldwidepeersupport.org and jump on there, and they'll support you. They're good people in there. Also with us on the Burnout Podcast. You can get on burnoutpodcast.org. You can email us through the holidays, and we'll talk to you. I don't care what time it is. You email us, reach out to us. We'll get back to you. We wanted to just share a little bit about, during the holidays, man, communicate to not just friends and family about your feelings when you're getting off the job, when you come off the call or come off a shift. If something's going on with you, let your family members know. I know it's hard to do, but let your family, you had a bad day, your bad shift, and kind of go into what happened. You don't have to go into details, but go into what happened, because that's going to help them know what you're going through, and they'll be more a part of your life and bring your relationship closer together. But it's also going to help you to unload some of that stuff. And you don't have to carry that load all by yourself. You don't. You might think you have to, but I know I thought I did. That was my ego getting in the way of me growing spiritually and mentally. As soon as I offloaded that stuff, it helped. It was like a wall between me and my wife. When I slowly took each brick down through the years, it helped me get closer to my wife and share more about me, not just all the bad stuff, some good stuff too, but life, it's a good life today for us. And we have a good Christmas coming up with our grandkids and our kids and our friends. And we here at Burnout Podcast want to support all of you that's listening, and we really want you to enjoy the holidays, and we just want to let you know you're not alone. Even when you feel alone, don't believe in that lie. Reach out and call somebody. Thank you all for listening today. We really appreciate it. And remember, when you go home tonight, shut your phone off, shut your radio off, and get some sleep. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Burnout. Burnout is brought to you by the Worldwide Peer Support. You can visit Burnout Podcast at burntoutpodcast.org or visit Worldwide Peer Support at worldwidepeersupport.org. Your hosts for the Burnt Out Podcast are Skip O and Jeff the Old Guy. Produced by Shawn P Neal. A MyPodcast.Media production.